Hello, this is your teacher Melody again. Our subject is Art 6. So our objective is, at the end of this lesson, you are expected to explain the truism that design principles still apply for any new design. Contrast of colors, shapes, and lines produces harmony, whether done by hand or machine or computer. So our topic for today is about printmaking. Yes, it's a printmaking. So what is this printmaking all about? So printmaking is the process of creating art by transferring an image on design from a source another materials. So you are going to transfer an image. So, prints are made from a single original plate or surface called a matrix. And what is this matrix? Matrix can be a metal plate, stone, wood stocks, linoleum, fabric, and others. Whatever materials or process is used in printmaking, the purpose of printmaking is to make an artwork that can be reproduced by many times. So there are 4 processes of printmaking. The first one is the relief printing. What is this relief printing? So relief printing is a process where protruding faces of the printing plate or black are ink. Recessed areas are ink-free. Printing the image is therefore a relatively simple matter of inking the face of the matrix and bringing it in firm contact with the paper. So this is the sample image of the relief printing. So an example of relief printing is the rubber stamp. You are going to get the rubber and then you are going to remove all the excess materials that you do not or unwanted materials so that it will be protruding like this one. And then you are going to dip these protruding materials or rubber stamp into an ink and in any color what you want, and then you're going to stamp it in the paper, and this is the result. You transfer already the prints or the image design to the paper, and also this one. So that is a relief printing or example of a relief printing. Now let's go to the next. A rubber stamp. So that is a rubber stamp. What is a rubber stamp? It is pressed into a stamp pad and pressed onto a piece of paper. So the next one is the intaglio printing. What is this? It is an opposite of relief printing, in that the printing is done from ink that is below the surface. Again, below the surface of the plate. The design is cut, scratched, or etched into the printing surface or plate, which can be a copper, zinc, aluminum, magnesium, plastic, or even coated paper. This is the sample of the image of the intaglio printing. So, an example of intaglio printing is the etching and the engraving or pag-uukit in Tagalog. So, we have here an example which is crayon etching. You're going to use all the crayons. You will put all these colors to a pad paper or to a band paper. The first is the white one. You're going to cover all the paper with the color white, and then covered it with the yellow, and then cover it again with the green, and then yellow, and then red, oh, and so on and so forth, until it will be black. Then after the black, get pointed materials to etch the design that you want, like this one. Next is the engraving. You are engraving or pag-uukit. You are going to make an ukit to the plate, like this one. It is a marble. So the granite lapida. You are engraving the words or the names, the dates of the persons you love or the persons die. Okay? So lapida is an example of engraving. Okay? Now, what is etching? It is simply removing the unwanted materials from the surface to form a required pattern. And engraving is a process or art of cutting or curving a design on a hard surface like the marble, especially so as to make a print. Okay? Now, let's go to the next, which is number 3, lithography or planographic printing. So, what is this? As we have learned, relief printing are created from a raised surface. It is raised surface. Remember, relief printing, raised surface. And the intaglio prints are created from a cut surface. So, relief printing is raised surface. Intaglio is cut surface. Planography, however, or lithography, however, is the printing of the flat surface. Okay? That is the difference between the 3 printing. So, this is the sample image of the lithography. You need an ink, and then the water, and then the impression cylinder, then blanket cylinder, the plate cylinder, and of course, your design, which is the trim sheet and the untrimmed sheet for the paper or the sheet that you're going to use to transfer this trim sheet. Okay, what is lithography? Lithography is the art of printing from a flat stone or metal plate by a method based on the simple fact that grease attracts grease as it repels water. So when we say grease, it is the oily materials used in printing. So in lithography, an image is drawn on the surface with a greasy materials. You're going to draw in an oily materials. Grease crayon. You're going to use the grease crayon. And then water. And printing ink are applied. The greasy parts absorb the ink. And the wet part do not. So this is the lithography. Okay? You are transferring the image by means of the grease oil and grease materials and the water. Now let's go to number 4 kind of printing or a process of printing, which is the screen printing. And what is this screen printing? It is a printing technique whereby a mesh is used to transfer ink into a substrate, except in areas made impermeable to the ink by a blacking stencil. So this is the screen printing. You are going to use the screen like this. Okay? And then your design. So, an example of screen printing is a stencil. A stencil is a sheet of paper, fabric, plastic, metal, or other materials with design cut or punch from it. Ink is forced through the opening onto the surface to be printed. Like this one. There is a screen. Okay? This is the screen. And there is a design here. So letter A is the printing ink. So there is an ink here. And then the squiggy, which is 45 degree angle. This is the squiggy. And then the stencil image. This is the stencil image that you drawn. And then the stretch silk of printing mesh, which is this one. It's like kulambo. Okay? And then the wooden frame. This is the wooden frame. And the transferred image. This is the transferred image. Okay? So, what is the connection of principles of designs in printmaking? So, let's see. The principles of design has a pattern, a contrast, an emphasis, a balance, proportion, scale, harmony, and rhythm, movement. So, all of these are applied in the printmaking. So, there is an arrangement of alternative repeated element, which is a pattern, and there is a juxtaposition of different elements of design from rough to smooth, texture or dark and light values. So, in order to highlight their differences and or create visual interest or a focal point. And there is also an emphasis or they give attention or importance to the image, and then the balance, of course. There is an equality. And then the proportion. Okay. And harmony, which is part of the piece form a coherent word and the whole. And then the rhythm movement, which is direct the movement of the eyes through the artwork, like this one. There is a contrast between the dark and the light, and there is also a proportion. And the emphasis. The emphasis here is the flower. In here, the emphasis is in the approve, because it is in the center. All the drawings are in the center and equally, or there is a balance and harmony that gives the topic of the whole picture. Okay? So, all of those things are applied whether it is in the machine or done by hand or even in a computer. So, design principles still apply for any new design, whether done by hand or machine or even in a computer. This is done by hand. And this is done by machine. It can be done, this one, it can be done by computer, by transferring screen, by transferring in a t-shirt. Okay? So, all of those things are used in printmaking. So, the principles of the design principles are used in printmaking. So, I hope you've learned a lot from our lesson today. Before you end up this video, please click like and share. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so that when I upload again another lesson, you can